you need to have those trades ready to go. You can't be thinking about those trades on election day or the day after. You need to be ready to hit that button because you're not going to have a week. You might not even have an hour. You might have 30 seconds or 10 seconds to get your Trump trade on.
Both national polls and betting odds are showing that Joe Biden is in the lead for the 2020 election, which is now just 33 days away. Many people have already voted. Many people who have not voted are not going to have their minds changed, regardless of what kind of shit show the next debates end up being.
Now let's get this show on the road and off the rails.
But our job as investors is being prepared for either outcome. We've had a couple of videos about what stocks would be buying and selling ahead of a Biden presidency. Today, we explore the other side. Is it as simple as do the opposite of the Biden trades?
No, it's not. Excuse me.
Just bet against infrastructure and electric vehicles and sustainable energy and go all in on oil and golf courses and Twitter? What happens to stocks if Trump wins? We're going to reveal our best stock picks for a second term with Donald Trump. This is one of those episodes where, despite the political nature, we have our minds open. We have to have a plan for our money.
I know exactly what my Trump trade is.
Is it healthcare? Is it drugs? Is it banks? What are your Trump trades? Because I have one that you probably haven't picked up on.
All right, I bet you do, but I have a bunch. Okay, I have a bunch, but let's just talk about my what is the first button I'm hitting? If you want to know what the first ticker is that I'm going to type in to my Ameritrade account, it is going to be shorting or buying puts on TAN. TAN. That is the solar ETF. Okay, now you look at the solar ETF. This thing has been up the last few days. Why is it up? Because Biden kind of won, according to betting polls.
But he's lying. I can't point out if he says a lie.
And the market kind of won this last debate, generally, like by a little bit. And that's a positive for TAN.
Although I did see the president tweeted that he won just this morning, just 30 minutes ago, because he won. Money
doesn't lie. And listen, the bottom line is the Biden stocks have been performing better tthan average the last couple days. And TAN, T-A-N, is a stock. And I told you this, if Biden wins the election, I'm going down. I'm levering into that, okay? And some of the components of that we talked about on our Biden episode. If you guys haven't seen our what stocks to buy if Biden wins, we did 2 episodes on that. You must watch them. Maybe we'll put them up here. We'll put them in the notes in the description. But I'm going to short TAN. I'm going to buy puts on TAN because it's such an obvious trade. I don't think you try to get too fancy. I think you could try to get fancy with your 7th or 8th trade. But I think the first 5 or 6 that you make have to be obvious ones because that's where the market is going to be rushing into those trades. I'm going to be shorting TAN. That's my first one.
Yeah, I'll probably buy some oil. I'll buy some ExxonMobil.
Because
I think that's going to be my first one. I just think that I think there's a lot of negative overhang right now, and that's the reason and oil demand and things like that that's hanging over a lot of these oil stocks. And I think it'll be a big boost if Trump does get reelected.
That's a really smart trade. You know why? Because it's an obvious trade. I think for your first, second, third trade, don't get too fancy. You know how many funds are going to be rushing into that oil trade? Jordan, that is a brilliant first trade right there.
And it's so depressed right now too.
It absolutely is. And I have one that it's not going to be the first one that I mentioned, but it is going to be, I think it's the one that is kind of most interesting. But I discovered something yesterday when we were telling some friends of ours at Bullish. They told me about this ETF that I didn't know existed. It's the MAGA ETF. And it is this, it's an ETF that, here's their methodology from their website. It is 150 companies from the S&P 500 that is indexed based on this Trump index that they've created based on the company employees and political action committees being highly supportive of Republican candidates. So it's like this equally weighted ETF. So there's more exposure to smaller companies, less weight on tech companies, but it's companies like L Brands, Domino's Pizza, FedEx, UPS, Whirlpool, Duke Energy. It is so it's this little company. I don't know how big they are, but Point Bridge Capital is the company that put it together. And I look, their founder, his name is Hal Lambert. He served in Trump's inaugural committee. And from what I can tell, this is their only publicly traded ETF, and they're otherwise just a fee-based money management firm for rich people, the kind of firm that the three of us avoid like the plague.
Yeah, that's a trade I might make for one day, because I do the mere fact that it's called the MAGA fund.
That's what I'm thinking.
Whether it's right or
yes.
whether it's, I'm going to write.
It's one of those. It's one of those ticker first kind of trades where it, like you say, the obvious trades, going to ExxonMobil on day one, going to MAGA seems like that's kind of might be a news story on election morning. Can
I tell you what my fourth trade is? I know I only told you one.
Please do.
But Jordan's is my second, and yours is my third. So I'm liking where all of you are going with this. So my fourth is going to be something slightly more speculative, slightly, but I think you could really potentially kill it on this trade. Okay, I am going to buy for one single day. I'm going to go in on Kodak. Okay. I'm going to go in on Kodak. If I think Trump is going to win, I'm going to own them for one day.
Are you going to buy some Nikola too while you're at it?
No. This is a Kodak. Because you remember the whole Kodak trade.
I know.
It's all about, this is Trump's people that are pushing for this. And I don't even care if the deal gets done or not. But I think when people see Trump potentially winning, if that happens, or if he actually does win, I think there's going to be a huge rush into that Kodak trade, okay? So I'm buying Kodak. I'm going to sell it after 24 or 48 hours max. But that will be my fourth trade, okay?
All right. I like it.
Mark it off here.
Not too much.
I want to know, Chris, what are you going to do with your Vista Outdoors if this happens?
Now you're starting to get a little more fancy, okay?
Yeah.
Not too fancy. I'm going to say that Vista is not my fifth trade, it's my sixth. My fifth trade is I'm going to buy some banks, all right? And why am I going to buy the banks? Not because I like the banks.
because of favorable tax treatment.
Dave, you just nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it. So if you want to play the corporate tax rate, the most obvious way to do that on a Trump win would be to buy B of A and JP Morgan and some of the other big banks, right? So that's an obvious one, guys, right? Got to do that.
I want to talk a little about the media companies, okay? Because I think that Trump has basically kept cable television alive. My pick for the media company is the failing New York Times. Trump loves to hate them, but the reality is New York Times, NYT, has dramatically outperformed the S&P 500 since Trump was inaugurated. It is up 300% since Election Day. It's out of control.
Correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation.
That's
right?
true.
We talk about that all the time. So I don't know, unless you can prove to me that it's up because of Trump, I don't see that as being an obvious Trump trade. I think it's an interesting one to research further.
Yeah, I think it's not specifically up because of Trump. I think that the idea of investing in a paper-based, we're going to deliver things, that seems like something I would stay far, far away from.
Well, but
they have switched to digital.
The Times is not just paper-based.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've got an excellent website.
That's the thing. Here's a 5-year chart, New York Times, and let me just overlay the S&P 500 so you can see that I actually am telling the truth. Look at that. New York Times in green, the S&P 500 in orange.
Wow. I would not have thought that.
I wouldn't have either until I started looking into, like, I wanted to find, like, Fox News was doing well, or that, like, one of these super Trumpy kind of media outlets was, but they weren't. They actually didn't do well.
I feel like I want to go back on my number 1, 2, and 3 trade. Something that Jordan mentioned, because Jordan did mention, what do I think about Vista Outdoors if Trump wins? And this is a really important question. It's not just Vista Outdoors. It's also Smith & Wesson. It's also Ruger. This is the gun and ammo trade. We have been on this gun and ammo trade all year, and we have been crushing it, right? And as you guys know, I've been piling into Vista Outdoors. In fact, I now have 100,000 shares of Vista Outdoors, guys.
Wow.
100,000 shares.
It's a $20 stock, so okay, that's impressive.
If I start to see a Trump edge, okay, and if Trump actually ends up, it looks like he's going to win, I am not only going to completely pull back from that Vista Outdoors trade, I will sell my 100,000 shares and I will short it, okay? I will short Vista. I will sell my Smith & Wesson and I will short Smith & Wesson. I will sell my Ruger and I will short Ruger. Because the one thing that we know for a fact is that a Trump win is terrible for gun stocks and ammo stocks. Now, I will say there is one exception to that rule. If a Trump win ends up leading to kind of mass civil chaos, then I might get back into gun stocks. But I think the initial knee-jerk reaction, of, oh, wow, Trump's going to win today, is a huge negative for gun and ammo, man. And that could be a top 3 trade for me, quite honestly. I have kind of a crazy one, guys. I don't know. Do you have any others that are really like
those are the top
a little more off
that's
radar?
Top of my list. Jordan, how about you?
I was trying to think about what would be a good infrastructure play, right? Because I think that's, and I actually think that's kind of
on a Trump win. My infrastructure play.
I think
was
it's
more
both,
Biden,
right? I think it's
Yeah.
both. Yeah, it's both. I think it's probably a little bigger on Biden. You're probably right.
So let me throw out one pure play for the election. GEO Group is a big private prison company, publicly traded. They have been in the dumps. But part of the reason why I think they're in the dumps right now is this risk of Biden winning the election and really messing with their contracts long term. So if Trump wins, I think that's an immediate pop for GEO Group.
It's interesting. Yeah, that's one that I hadn't put on my list, but it's now on. This is my official list now. So
I want to say something here. It's less about exactly which trade you pick. So as an investor, I don't think I'm going to spend too much of my time trying to decipher is the Exxon trade better than the Lockheed trade, or is that better than shorting TAN, right, which is the solar ETF. All these trades are probably legitimate, good Trump trades if it looks like he's going to win. I think it's more important for investors to spend their energy and their focus on when to put the trade on. Getting that trade on early, but not too early. Actually making sure that that it really is going in Trump's favor, right, before you put that trade on. Because if you get caught in that trade and you're on the wrong side of it, and then Trump loses, or it's a contested election, all of a sudden these stocks are going to, snap right back. Now
I've got one more thing to think about: Amazon.
Yeah.
So we know that Trump's been, somewhat anti-Amazon.
he's just been anti-Bezos.
You think that's a good point?
He's a hater.
Yeah, that's a good point. But they all, there's always stuff coming up about, the government looking into all sorts of things with Amazon. So do you think that stuff ramps up, or do you think it's a non-issue?
I don't, with all the various obvious Trump trades, on election day, I don't see a ton of people like trading Amazon because Biden won or Trump won.
Yeah.
But you know why, Jordan? Because you could make a good argument on both sides that it's either good or bad.
And even within the good, like there's good things about. I think Amazon's still a strong company if Trump wins, right? It's not all negative. And I think that a lame duck president isn't as motivated to perhaps try to torture his rival Jeff Bezos.
My one big takeaway is don't overthink Trump trades. Overthink whether or not to put those trades on and when to put them on.
And for me, I'm not going to be concentrated in just one trade. I'm going to have a handful, maybe not all 10 that you have, but I'm going to have a few because some will do better than others, obviously. Some will do worse. And having, basically I'm going to have my own little mutual fund of trades that I'm going to place based on various scenarios.
Yeah. And listen, by the way, it doesn't matter whether you're, a Trumper, a conservative, a Republican, a Democrat, a Biden fan. This is money. Political views don't matter on this show. You have to be apolitical and you have to really dissect. Is this going in Biden's direction? Is it going in Trump's direction? It's so hard. How hard is it to remove your political self? Less hard for us because we're pretty apolitical, right? But I think it's really important to remove that political bias. And if it starts to move one way or the other, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start to edge my positions in. these Trump positions are not all or nothing. I'm not going to wait till Election Day. I'm going to start to edge into these positions if I think Trump, right, is doing better and better towards the election. All right, so guys, it's 70 and sunny here in
You
Montauk,
definitely need to get out to the
and
beach.
I want to hit the beach.
For sure.
I want to hit the beach. It's right across the street.
Before you go and before anyone goes, make sure you have hit that like button, subscribe here, ring the bell. You can listen to our podcast. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitch. Dumb Money TV is our handle on all of those. You can join our Discord server. I saw Leon posted the link to that down in the comments. It's dumbmoney.tv/Discord. Keep the conversation going on Discord in our comments here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Dave Hansen. For Chris and Jordan, we are Dumb Money. We will see you on Monday.